Today, we're going to focus on 3 proven ways to be a powerful leader. And I wanted to start by sharing a story with you, just a problem, a situation that a client of mine has. So, interestingly enough, when she did her performance review with her boss, she got feedback in December that she wasn't being strategic. So, when I talked to this client about the issue, she said, "You know what, Vanessa, I kind of agree and I kind of disagree." And you know what? I said to her, the problem is that your boss has this perception of you, and his perception of you is based on your behavior. So the reality is, your boss doesn't know what your intentions are, right? Nobody knows that you intend to be strategic. You're either behaving in a strategic way or you're not behaving in a strategic way. So I said to her, what we have to do is align your intentions with your behavior. She said, "Vanessa, I am being strategic. My boss just doesn't know." So there was a problem here in that she wasn't sharing this knowledge with her boss. So there were a couple of actions that we came up with. Number one, I said to her, to change your perception, you have to change your behavior. Okay, so 2 things that she decided to do. One was what she was actually going to do is add an agenda item on her weekly meetings with her boss to share her successes or accomplishments. This would put a structure in place for her to remember to share with her boss what's going on because she's got so much on her plate. The second thing that we talked about was, quite frankly, she needs to toot her own horn a little bit more. And, having this conversation with this client about this issue reminded me of a book I read a couple of years ago called How Women Rise by Marshall Goldsmith and Sally Helgeson. And what's so interesting about this book, whether you're male or female, it talks about 12 habits that often hold us back from being successful at work. And the 2 that came up that really reminded me of this client's problem was reluctance to claim your achievements. And, when we talk today about being powerful, you can't be powerful if you don't share your achievements. That's really, really important to do. The second thing that came to mind was expecting others to just spontaneously notice what you're doing and reward your contributions. Again, if you want to be a powerful person, you just can't expect this. So my goal for you in 2022 is to rise up, to really shine, and to be the most powerful version of yourself. So today, I'm going to share with you 3 ways that you can be a really powerful leader. At the end of the session, actually, I want to share with you a course that I'm running starting September 17th called Lead Your People. And it's a really incredible way for you to dial up your leadership. If you're thinking, I do need to take charge of my leadership of this year, I want you to join me in the program, but more about that later. Let's talk about power. Okay, so what do you think of when you hear the word power? Okay, do you think about people who abuse their power and authority? Maybe we all think about a certain politician. Maybe that person comes to mind, no names mentioned, okay? Or do you think about being a positive influence through your personal power, perhaps something else, right? When you think about the concept of power, it's something that can be used for good or for bad, right? There's certainly negative power or abusing one's power, but there's also positive power, using your platform to make a difference. And you know what? As a leader, you do have power, right? It's just based on your title. You have something that I call positional power. So to me, having positional power and influence is one of the thrilling things about being a leader, right? I think of leaders like Sheryl Sandberg and all the books she's written, like Lean In, just to name one. I think about Jacinda Ardern, okay? So 38 years old, she's the youngest female leader in the world, right? And certainly New Zealand's youngest prime minister in over 150 years. She was elected to a second term in a landslide in October 2020. And as leader of the Labour Party, this is really interesting. She promised an empathetic government. To me, empathy is one of the key leadership traits that we all need to really manage through these really uncertain times that we're in. And so that to me speaks a lot to her leveraging her personal power. So my favorite definition actually of power comes from none other than Martin Luther King. So his definition is, power is the ability to effect change with purpose. I love that, right? You as a leader, you have the power to affect change with purpose. That's just part of your job, part of your role. And this to me is one of the most exciting aspects of leadership. Okay, so you know me, I like to get to the practical. So now I want to get to the practical, and you may be thinking, okay, Vanessa, so how do I do that? Okay, so here are my top 3 suggestions for you to be a powerful leader. 1, have a powerful vision for yourself and your team. Number 2, develop powerful relationships. And number 3, be powerfully, this one may surprise you, be powerfully transparent. Okay, let me break these down for you. Okay, having a powerful vision. You got to get clear on your purpose and what drives your work, right? You have to be able to see the big picture. Don't get stuck in the weeds, right? You have to clearly communicate your vision and your goals with your team. It's easy. I get it. It's easy to get distracted by new trends or new markets or new projects. And it's easy to lose sight of the big picture. I totally get that, right? But achieving and maintaining success in a powerful way really takes discipline. You have to really be clear on your priorities and focus them, right? You have to make sure you're clear on your goals. You have to make sure your team knows what those goals are. Actually, if you clarify your expectations with your team, you're building trust with them, right? It is your job as a leader to make it simple for your team to understand the mission and know their part in achieving it. So that's number 1. Have that powerful vision and share it with your team. Okay, the other one is developing powerful relationships. This is huge for leadership, right? So many of the people that I coach get stuck not in the task piece. They're really good at getting stuff done and driving results. It's the relationship stuff that trips people up. And this is really leveraging your emotional intelligence, understanding how your emotions impact you and the people around you. Building high trust in your team is going to help you drive that first area that we focused on, which is around your vision, right? Being the leader that inspires others to become your best work, to do their best work, to become their best selves at work, right? How do you do that? It's by building these high trust relationships. In the Lead Your People program that I'm going to be facilitating starting February, it's a 6-module program starting February 17th. We're going to talk about in module 2 how to build trust, right? And you have to focus on both your character and your competence. They're key in order to do that. So you have to build those powerful relationships up, down, and across the organization, by the way. The third one is to be powerfully transparent. Again, this may surprise you, but I want to read you the definition of transparency, right? So lack of transparency means I withhold information, I keep secrets, right? Being really transparent means I tell the truth. I'm open, I'm authentic. I don't have hidden agendas. And by the way, this comes in good times and in bad. I think there's nothing more powerful than the leader saying, you know what, team, I'm struggling right now. You know what, we're not meeting our objectives and I'm stressed. So I want to have this meeting and I want to spend time together as a team to look at what we can do to achieve our goals, right? There's nothing more powerful than a leader who is transparent. Calling out bad behavior, right? Giving constructive feedback right away, not avoiding it. Again, that's something we're going to talk about in the Lead Your People program is how to give feedback. The other thing that I love about being powerfully transparent is to provide recognition generously. When I ask people, when I work with leaders and I say to them, okay, how many of you need to give more feedback, more positive feedback? Most people put up their hands. Listen, positive feedback's free. I'm not talking about, hey, you did a great job showing up for work today. No, I'm talking about recognizing those people who did something positive, who went the extra mile, who are making a difference. Even those people who are working on something that you want them to develop and they've moved from developing to, up that pipeline of developing to fully develop, they're getting better because they're working hard. Okay, so those are the 3 areas that I wanted to cover. So I have 2 important questions to ask you right now. Number 1, which one resonates the most for you? And number 2 is, what do you think needs to change at work right now for you? Do you need to clarify your vision in a more powerful way with your team and your purpose? Do you need to really focus on developing those powerful relationships? Maybe you just need to be more powerfully transparent. Okay, so I want you to think about how you can use your power as a leader to make that change happen. And you know what? You might be super popular for making the change happen. Maybe your team has been thinking, oh, we really need this change. And you know what? The reality is, as a leader, you may be unpopular for challenging the status quo. Regardless, take action, right? When you know that you're doing the right thing, you have to take action. The other thing I want you to think about is your intuition, right? Emotional intelligence, again, is listening to your intuition. If your intuition has been prompting you to lead the change, lead it, take the action. That is personal power, and that is leadership. So that is kind of the end of the formal presentation. And now, as I mentioned before, I want to tell you about and invite you, if you really think, boy, I could use a dose of more personal power, or I could use a dose of really learning the nuts and bolts of leadership, I want you to join me to my Lead Your People program. If you go on my website, Mosaic People Development, you're going to go under the events tab, and you're going to read all the information about it. I have just a breakdown for you of the 6 modules. So how the program works is it's 6 modules. Each one is 2 hours in length. It has a very specific focus of one leadership area. And what we do is we meet every couple of weeks. So the reason we meet every couple of weeks is I want a couple of weeks to go by for you to implement your homework and implement what you've learned. Because when we come back to module 2, what we do is we talk about, well, what did you apply? And what worked and what didn't, and what did you learn? And you go into breakouts and you get to discuss your learning with other people in the program. In fact, I just got an email yesterday from somebody who took the program late last year. And she said, Vanessa, I still use the workbooks today. I still use the tools that we've learned. I'm practical. It's all based on tools, right? So you're going to learn, the first thing you're going to do is your DISC profile, and you're going to learn how to leverage your work style. Okay. The second thing you're going to learn is mindset, how to have that really growth mindset. Mindset is critical for strong leadership. The second module is all about feedback, how to give feedback, how to have difficult conversations. I talked about positive feedback too. We're going to do positive feedback. We're going to unpack why you struggle to give feedback, because you know what? When you don't give feedback, you are stopping somebody from being their best selves and being their most powerful self at work. So I'm going to give you a tool for that. The third piece is coaching for results. So I'm a certified coach. I'm going to teach you real tricks of the trade, real tools that coaches use to do formal coaching and informal coaching. We're going to unpack the difference. Then we're going to move into module 4, which is delegate and develop your team. This is a tricky one for leaders. Your job as a leader is to develop your people. And your job as a leader is to delegate, to focus on your priorities. It goes back to that first thing about being powerful, focusing on your goals and your vision. You can't do that if you're stuck in the weeds. You can't do that if you're holding on to stuff from 3 jobs ago, right? In your organization, if you've risen up the ranks in your organization, you got to stop doing work that you were doing 3 years ago. You have to delegate that. The problem is most leaders don't delegate because they don't know how. There's a way, there's a structure, there's a strategy, there's a process. I'm going to teach you that. The third thing is how to manage your time and priorities. Again, you got to get clear on your priorities. And this aligns very much with leadership. What you're going to see with the module before around delegation, if you don't know what your priorities are, you can't delegate. We're going to look at time management. We're going to look at what you're paid to do and unpack that. And then finally, how to lead and communicate change. And, you know, I added this module in because this program was created during COVID at the beginning of the pandemic. And I really thought about what are leaders struggling most with? And that's how this content was created. And so we're constantly managing change. And there's a way that you can manage change that really uncovers resistance. There's a way that you can communicate change that really gets buy-in. And there's the reality of change, which is it's like this. There are ups and downs to change. So if you are interested, what I'd like to invite you to do is either direct message me and to find out more. Go to my website, Mosaic People Development or mosaicpd.com, and just pop on the events tab and you'll see the program there and you'll see all the details. So thank you for tuning in to this LinkedIn Live. LinkedIn Lives are fun. And I'm so glad you were here. And I want you to really, your takeaway to be thinking about what you can do to be more powerful as a leader. I want you to rise up and shine in 2022. Thanks for listening.